Chris Farrell, Director of Research and Investigations for Judicial Watch. Daniel French asks, where can I get an ISIS car flag like Emad Karakrah's?
Yeah, well, you start out by getting a Palestinian flag, and then in block letters on the white band, you write out the letters ISIS.
That's right. Well, the black flag is the battle flag, and
exactly.
the green flag is the flag for the lands which have been overrun finally by the worthy soldiers of Muhammad. Welcome back to the show, Chris Farrell of Judicial Watch. JudicialWatch.org is one of the most important organizations in our country today. I want to ask you all about Emad Karakrah. I have no idea why he is now free. But first, I want to know what the latest is on the IRS scandal. It's tax time, and everybody is wondering what the IRS has been up to under Obama.
Well, they mostly want money, right? That's what they keep saying, that they don't have enough money to run their operations. They're woefully underfunded, which of course is craziness. And the reason why we know it's craziness is because we got yet another batch of documents just a few days ago that gives sort of a little glimpse or a little background into the supposed criminal investigation of the scandal. You remember that investigation that was being led by an Obama donor, and the same woman, Barbara Bosserman, who refuses to give up her hourly charge sheets for how much time she's spending on the investigation? Yes, that one. So we're getting these rolling productions of documents to us, and basically what they really detail is how the IRS targeted these tax-exempt entities. It's just further confirmation, frankly, of what you already know. It's just that now it's in black and white.
It's just so obviously wrong, so immoral and illegal to use the Internal Revenue Service as a political weapon. And yet this is precisely what has been done.
You are correct. This would make Nixon blush, right? He only talked about using the IRS as a tool, as a political tool, and his discussing that or thinking it out loud was grounds for impeachment, among other things. But that was certainly one of the charges that he was talking about using it as a weapon. And in this case, it's far, far beyond that. And it's much more documented exactly how they were looking to take aim against certain groups, and consulted with the IRS, consulted with the Department of Justice about bringing criminal charges against certain 501c4 organizations. It's horrific. I mean, it's a nightmare, and it's been whitewashed.
What are the core facts? If you had to just have a handful of facts for my listeners who may not have been following this issue, and in part because the IRS has arrogated such an extraordinary amount of power unto itself that we tend to sort of take it as a matter of course. And do you know where we take it? What are some facts we should all know about the IRS targeting of Obama's political enemies? And how do we know these are more than allegations and that they are indeed fact?
Sure. Because you have emails documenting it, that Lois Lerner, using her official position in the exempt organization division, acted as a political operative in identifying groups that were using terms such as, Tea Party or any affiliation, essentially, with the Tea Party or any sort of a group that was of that wing of the conservative movement, and that based upon their naming and their affiliations and their membership, those groups were targeted for extra scrutiny, that they did not receive their exempt organization determination forms, or that they were subjected to a barrage of additional questioning above and beyond anything that anybody else had ever answered. And so the effort was to suppress and intimidate or constrain those Tea Party liberty groups from acting, from doing their job in the run-up to the 2012 election. It's indisputable. It's documented. There's emails back and forth, and it's I think the larger super macro lesson, if you back way away from it and think about it, is that everyone needs to remember that the enforcement arm of Obamacare is the IRS.
Yes, of course it is, because if you are in violation of the standards of the Affordable Care Act as pertain, for instance, to small and medium-sized businesses, you're in violation of accounting and record keeping. I think also people who aren't business people may not all know, or young people, our young listeners really should know, that when the IRS gets into your life, they come with guns and they're in your house and they can take everything you own. That's it. They call your bank and they now have all your money. You cannot afford to send your kid to school. You will not have money for school. You will not have money for clothes. You will not have money for food. Freezing a bank account ends your life, effectively. That's it.
Correct.
And they do it. It happens all the time, and it's a kind of a murder. If you talk to people who have been through hard audits, some of them are often, by the way, for ridiculous reasons, like this. But sometimes a hard audit will occur for reasons that no one, including the IRS, understands. There is some kind of irregularity. So, for instance, a check made out to the Washington Area Bicyclists Association for a very small amount of money, maybe $20, that you don't remember writing and you put into your nonprofit groups list, will flag you for a very aggressive audit that will ruin your life and keep you from doing, as you say, the work that you need to do. Come to find out, WABC is not a radio station. It's the Washington Area Bicyclists, so WAPA or something. And this is the kind of thing that happens to normal Americans, and it shuts your life down. And that is why we have to try to check the powers, if we can, of the IRS. The other thing that happens, Chris, is that tax law becomes so complicated that you have to spend a lot of money on people who have some expertise in these fields. It's very hard to do your taxes, even if your life is very simple. And they trick you, of course, with withholding, so you don't notice just how much you pay. But the situation now that we
call it what it is. Call it garnishment, right? That's what
garnishment of wages. Yes, and it's a sad situation because, Chris, people are afraid to speak out. I mean, the truth is, people are afraid to talk about this. I sense fear in my heart as I do a piece on the IRS. So I know somebody's listening. A lot of people are hired to monitor and figure these things out and who's involved with whom. And it is rather, it is reminiscent of a 1984 scenario in which invisible monitoring forces can hold up and cancel your life. And you really do not have any legal recourse, any real legal recourse in the end, because they are the law. And if you choose to fight, you had better be rich. And you're not going to be too rich once they freeze your bank accounts. So there is sort of a, very, very sad catch-22 involved in the whole matter of trying to protect yourself from the IRS, because it has already well been written into law that they control your money before they take it from you. It's really theirs. Would you say that's reasonable, Chris, or is that?
I would put it this way. I would put it isn't necessarily theirs, but they certainly pay themselves first from your paycheck.
Right. Yeah. Right. It's very problematic. Now, would you please and there are new documents that offer a glimpse into these criminal investigations. And what we call the Obama IRS scandal. Do we have a criminal act? Is there a violation of law here, or is it just a very messy scenario, or are things obvious but not proven?
I think the documentation is sufficient to prove that the discussion between DOJ and Lerner about prosecuting organizations and just making an example of them. That's what they were most interested in doing. It was all about punishment.
Mm-hmm.
That was outside the scope of their lawful employment, that they were going above and beyond what their positions authorized them to do. And that probably is sufficient to show a criminal abuse of the IRS code.
Good. I'm glad. Are you going to prosecute it?
Well, Judicial Watch can't prosecute anybody. We're not. It would be wonderful if we were the Attorney General. But yes,
no,
we have more
litigation.
We have so much litigation.
That's what I'm asking.
Absolutely.
You're going to take it to court.
We have, and we are, and we will. So past,
okay, thank you. That's what I meant. Are you going to litigate? That's what I meant.
Yeah,
I'm
absolutely.
sorry. This is why I have to spend so much money on other people who know something. Give it real quickly in the last 2 minutes we have left. Our guest, by the way, Chris Farrell, Director of Research and Investigations for the Great Judicial Watch, for whom I'm truly grateful as a nominally free, hopefully free American citizen. What's the latest on Emad Karakrah? Why is this ISIS guy out of? Why is he out of jail? He's like a really dangerous dude, and where is he?
No one knows where he is. Or I should put it this way: the FBI probably knows where he is, but our efforts to uncover where his whereabouts have been unsuccessful. This guy was planned and orchestrated a 2009 bombing plot in Chicago. And his objective was to blow up Oprah Winfrey's studio and the Sears, now, I guess, Willis Tower. That plot was foiled in 2009, and there was an effort by the FBI to recruit this guy. He went rogue. He disappeared for a number of years. And then he reappeared in late August, flipping out and trying to get martyrdom by cop in a high-speed chase through Chicago because the rest of his terror network was being rolled up in El Paso.
Oh my goodness! Well, keep us apprised on that. Maybe he'll go work for the Obama administration, he could be the next Secretary of Defense. Chris Farrell, Director of Research at Judicial Watch, www.judicialwatch.org. Judicialwatch.org. Always grateful to hear from you and about what you're doing out there at Judicial Watch. Thank you, Chris Farrell. WCGO.